Dog culture is one of the most serious threats we face today. It affects and afflicts people from all walks of life, all across the globe. As we know, dogs ruin it all. They ruin moments, big and small. What follows now is a message from someone who told me about a time where a dog just being itself utterly ruined an experience.
Man, I was sitting outside and I heard a bird song I'd never heard before in my life. It was so pretty. I was opening up the bird identifier app on my phone to see what it was, and that piece of shit neighbor's dog started barking, and the bird went away. Piece of shit dog. Now I'll feel like I'll never know what that bird was, or possibly hear it again.
I think the worst was the dog destroying my rare flowers that I'm not able to find again after that, no matter how hard I try.
It doesn't even matter how hard you try.
We all know how utterly destructive dogs can be.
They are easily the most destructive pet animal one can choose to have.
Imagine coming home to a mess like this. Your dog went bonkers and tore the place to pieces while you were out.
But it goes beyond bites and broken items. Dogs assault the senses, insult our collective intelligence, and ruin mental health. They take up psychological and emotional bandwidth. They poison people against one another, and their very presence is a social pollutant.
So I have started to make a change in lifestyle for myself, and after coming out of a depression phase, I began running as a way to improve my mental and physical health. Now, where I live, there's a beautiful stretch of pathway which is in a wooded area. Deeper through the pathway, you are confronted with majestic countryside. It's honestly a beautiful sight. As you can see miles and miles of farmland, the pathway is honestly a magical sight. Running through that path in the morning significantly improved my mental health, and I began to improve in all areas of my life. Now, because it's a great pathway, it's a hot spot for dog owners. I just try to ignore the dogs, but these owners decide to not leash them. So while I'm running ahead, I'll see an owner in the distance with their dog wandering ahead of them. So I'm worried that the dog might attack me, and the owner is nowhere near the dog to stop it from doing so. I continue running and try my best to act cool and collected, which usually works fine until one time a big dog started barking at me really loudly as I approached its owner. The owner seemed quite frustrated, with me of all things, as I shat myself, as if I disrupted his walk rather than the other way around. He physically had to hold the dog back by its collar as it lunged and snarled at me. "He won't hurt you," he muttered. And for the record, the dogs were not leashed. Ever since this encounter, I can no longer make myself run down this trail, as I'm always filled with anxiety of a dog unleashed popping around the corner and attacking me.
Remember, you're not safe just because you have some glass between yourself and a dog.
Suffice it to say that dogs are as dumb and dangerous as they are deranged. But they aren't just dumb, they are dangerously dumb. They seem to have no regard for their own well-being a lot of the time, and seem profoundly ill-suited to life in modern indoor spaces with corners, furniture, and objects like glass, plastic, and metal.
Some people don't have dogs, even though you should, but this is what my freaking dog just did. Look, broke the glass. Someone rang the doorbell. She decided to come up, break this glass with her head, break this glass with her head, break this glass.
He broke the TV! No!
Next, watch as this stupid dog impedes traffic.
Dog on the loose. Watch as this
Dumb piece of shit.
tries to navigate his way down a busy expressway.
Now just imagine if dog-related news stories were honest. You see, dogs are constantly being shilled for and defended, no matter what they do. If nutter reporters or others aren't trying to drum up sympathy for some craphound, they're trying to portray the destruction dogs engage in as humorous. When they aren't doing that, they're blaming victims of dog attacks. It's downright ridiculous and disgusting.
A family in New Jersey is mourning
their murder mutt.
after he came face to face with a porcupine. The dog's injuries so severe it did not survive.
Eyewitness News reporter Darla Miles is live in Montague this afternoon, and she just spoke with the dog's
enabling owners.
Well, Liz, David, everyone knows Sussex County is bear country, but an encounter with a porcupine is extremely rare because not only do the quills pierce the skin, they can also migrate through the body and pierce organs and become very deadly. We have pictures of
nobody cares
and his encounter and injuries from that porcupine. I want to warn everybody, it's going to be
funny
to see like that.
I could hear him crying in the backyard and her yelling and screaming.
As
natural
as it is to see dozens of porcupine quills piercing the body of
the dog's name and age is irrelevant. Stop saying its name.
Just imagine
if the pit beast did not attack the porcupine.
It was devastating, and he was just trying to get them off crying.
2 weeks ago, Miranda DeJaneiro was letting
the dog
out one final time before going to bed when he returned from the rear yard after an apparent
assault on a porcupine.
They first took him to a local vet who removed all of the visible quills, but later had to take him to a specialist.
I was in shock myself because I came out and I saw the quills and I knew they were porcupine quills. I've never dealt with it before, but you kind of just know that they're porcupine quills. Like, they were everywhere.
Our dog is ferocious.
A very ferocious hunter, so he was probably going at it. That's why they've never seen a case this bad.
After emergency surgery, seemed to be on the mend, but took a downturn a few days later and died.
The vet said that she actually had his heart in her hand, and she was pulling quills out of this lining of his heart.
The New Jersey Department of Environmental Protection says the agency does not track the porcupine population in the state, but directed us to this warning on wildlifehelp.org, saying dogs never seem to learn to avoid them, so keep them confined or on a leash when a porcupine is in the neighborhood.
I just had no clue how deadly that they could be, and I didn't even know that we had them in this area, so I would hate for anyone to have to go through this with babies because it is awful and traumatizing. It was so awful.
Stop it. Get some help.
But in all seriousness, isn't it insane how the entire time they're going on as if the porcupine is this dangerous, unpredictable animal in the area that shouldn't be there? It's almost as if they're treating a peaceful wild animal that never attacks people as though it were a pit bull. Weird.
This level of dishonesty is about what we can expect from the dog world. Of course, when they aren't pretending dogs such as bully breeds are harmless victims. I know. It sounds absurd even saying it. They're acting like they have no earthly idea what could cause a vicious predatory hellhound, specifically bred for violence, to attack a person. The following is a little remix I did of an old Bashar classic. I hope she doesn't mind.
We are still trying to get to the bottom of what could have possibly happened.
What happened came as a complete shock.
It's unclear what led to the attack. Well, police are still trying to figure out what led up to this pit bull suddenly
attacked her for reasons still unknown.
And the dog attacked. Nobody knows why.
I don't know what happened.
I don't know why this happened.
This never should have happened.
I would have never in a million years thought that this would happen.
The parents of the boy were at work when the attack happened, and everyone is at a loss to explain why the dog snapped.
I do want to say a bit about pit bulls, bully breeds in general. It's been said before, but it bears emphasis. Pit bulls are responsible for about 66% of fatal dog attacks, and their overall population is only 6.5% of the dog population. While we mostly judge pit bulls based on their objective mauling statistics, I personally reject this idea put forth by some that we can't judge them based on their appearance. You absolutely can tell if a living organism is potentially harmful or dangerous. That is, based solely on its outward physical appearance, perhaps in tandem with its behavior or disposition. Of the two animals pictured here, which one looks like it could seriously injure you if it wanted to? It's pretty obvious. See, this is a pit bull, and this is what a pit bull skull looks like. You absolutely can tell if an organism is potentially dangerous, based entirely on its size and structure. What follows is a post I saved from a few years back, which someone posted online in relation to pit bulls specifically, and I quote,
"If a creature has certain structural features, it is for a reason. If a dog's structure include a massive jaw and head, then its function will follow as being for the purpose of crushing, maiming, and brutalizing with greater force than a creature with a slimmer, more petite structure. If the dog's structure is muscular and bulky, then its function will be to move forcefully and aggressively. The creature's form will necessarily dictate how it moves and operates in the world."
This makes a lot of sense. We are pretty much hardwired to recognize predatory animals because of the evolutionarily advantageous ability to recognize and react to potential threats in the greater world. This is facilitated by a specific area of the brain, the right amygdala, which is very responsive to images of animals compared to the left amygdala. Moreover, we know full well what pit bulls and comparable dogs are capable of doing. Pit defenders will often try to claim that only a small percentage of them maul people to death, but the edge cases are the only ones that matter when the results are as severe as they are when these particular dogs attack. I went over a lot of this in a previous video called The Pit Plague, an underground documentary. One thing I didn't go over in so much detail is propaganda. The problem with this topic is the prevalence of propaganda in support of pit bulls, despite their association with the unique brand of extreme violence and terrorism, which their presence assuredly goes hand in hand with. This can be attributed to several socio-cultural and psychological factors. It is beyond the scope of this presentation to go into detail about those. So for now, I will skip over them and point out that advocates say the perception of pit bulls as inherently dangerous is largely rooted in misinformation and sensationalist media coverage. However, there is no truth to this. The reality is that the bully breeds make the news for their vicious attacks because they are the direct cause of them. This is a dog breed, or rather, a few closely related and incredibly similar breeds that all share the same blood sport heritage of bull baiting, whatever people want to call them. And again, I detailed a lot of this in my video, The Pit Plague. This is a recognizable breed or dog type that sends more people to an early grave than any other dog type, or it permanently scars, mutilates, and disfigures those fortunate enough to survive. Although personally, I do not consider anyone fortunate in any sense who goes through such a traumatic and life-altering ordeal. There are facts about these breeds, and the cases are very real. They are not fabricated. They are not imagined. And actually, I want to say something about these two cases and some comments I've been seeing. After all of this, the closest thing to a solution that's mentioned is a sentiment that's expressed about how this county needs to limit the amount of dogs people can own.
Neighbors also say animal control picked up the dogs yesterday, but both families say something else needs to change too. Both families say Marion County needs to limit the number of dogs a person can have so incidents like these don't happen again.
But that is no solution, and this is not going nearly far enough. At a minimum, they could have said that there are certain types of dogs no one should ever be allowed to have at all, and which should never have been legal to own. And of course, it would be even better if people simply stopped owning dogs, period. That is the only way to completely eliminate all future instances like this, and all dog-related problems in society. On my previous video, I keep seeing comments like this one. People keep saying, control your dogs. But obviously, people aren't doing that, aren't capable of fully controlling these killers, and a better idea is for them to not have a dog at all in the first place, especially not a strong, tenacious beast with killer instincts and a history of use in animal baiting, dogfighting, or war and conquest. Because I would include mastiffs of all kinds in this also, as well as Rottweilers and really, all large and dangerous dogs.
Sarah and Ryan had planned to hold their wedding on the patio. Now they say they're too scared.
It's not the first time those same dogs have chased down and injured people. CBS 4's Michael Van Scoik shows us the traumatic moments the victims say should have never happened.
My kids are scared. I'm scared. We all feared for our life in that phase.
Daycare pickup turned terrifying in a matter of seconds for mother Savandria Houston. Screams and barks rang out as more than a dozen dogs circled around her car Tuesday afternoon.
What kind of world do you want to live in? What kind of world do you want for your children? The thing about dog owners, and all who perpetuate dog ownership, which includes the pet industry, is that they are actually shaping the world we all have to live in. Dog owners can't pretend they aren't guilty of any wrongdoing. After all, we must all live with the results of their choices and their actions. Dog ownership isn't some benign personal hobby, where those who engage in it keep it to themselves. It's the opposite of that. They want to distract us with other crimes, but dogs make streets unsafe. I've done at least 2 compilations, where the headline of a news story is literally something like, "Neighborhood terrorized by dogs." That is what dogs do. They terrorize. And when they are able to roam freely, people are unsafe. Clearly here, I am mostly referring to the bully breeds and other comparable dogs such as Rottweilers and Mastiffs, as well as German Shepherds and others. No one is relaxed when one of these dogs is loose. The opposite is true. As for the tiny, worthless yappers, they are often the most aggressive. And while they are not super dangerous, at least to adults, they are still a total nuisance. And all dogs contribute in terms of the waste problem, which I have discussed in multiple previous videos at some length. Furthermore, the abrasive and uninviting cacophony of dog barking that permeates so many residential neighborhoods and apartment communities. This is another contribution of dog culture to the world.
Dedicating yourself to hating an animal for existing is psychotic and deranged. I will use the word animal for some reason, even though I know you guys only hate dogs. I will also ignore the fact that dogs do horrible shit, like try to kill people for no reason, while existing. But you know what? Dedicating yourself to hating a dog for being a savage, aggressive mutant that can't mind its own business is psychotic and deranged.
But dishonest dog worshippers are quick to take us out of context. They pretend they somehow don't understand what our issue with the existence of dogs is. And as I've said before, we don't randomly hate dogs just because they're here. We take issue with what they do while existing. Videos where dogs can be seen harassing or attacking defenseless wildlife animals, or wildlife animals in general, are a prime example. And of course, this includes animals in general. And it extends to our own species as well. Basically, dog life is at odds with all other life, and the drives and desires of dogs present a serious conflict of interest with all other life. Seriously, if you're a bike rider or a jogger, if you walk to get places regularly, or are a delivery worker, then surely you know how much of a nuisance and menace dogs are. You've probably heard a dog defender say, at some point, that dogs save lives. This is often thrown out reflexively when a particular dog defender is forced to confront some unpleasant truth about the nature of dogs. But dogs definitely take lives, and information on this is so widely available that it is indisputable. At best, one can try to say that a few dogs may occasionally do things that happen to benefit a person. However, this does not mean that this is how all or even most dogs are, and it seems their best examples involve dogs trained by people to do certain specific things. It's very important to note that without that human intervention and influence, these dogs would have zero motivation to do anything remotely useful. Or in other words, the people involved with working dogs deserve all the credit, and the dogs are merely a tool. Take for instance this source which says,
"Some dogs are trained to save human lives, such as police dogs, search and rescue dogs, and water rescue dogs. These dogs are taught to attack dangerous people."
Key words are some and taught, as in not all dogs, and they must be trained. Additionally, dogs can't tell if a person is dangerous or not, and many have been documented attacking helpless infants, small and young children, elderly individuals, and various people simply doing their jobs, like letter carriers or meter readers, for instance. None of these people are dangerous, not to dogs or to other people, yet dogs will attack them because it is what they are wired to do. Now, with regard to police dogs, it is claimed that they are trained to attack, quote, dangerous people. But in real-world practice, canine dogs have a horrible track record in this regard. Examples of police dogs needlessly injuring civilians, often civilians who are not even suspected of crimes, are not uncommon at all. There have been many documented cases of police dogs attacking officers themselves, including their own handlers, as well as subdued and motionless suspects and innocent bystanders. As for these supposed rescue dogs, these dogs are not born like that. If you take any random dog that has never interacted with a person, particularly a full-grown or feral one, its response to human presence is more likely to be hostility. People basically create these working dogs, and it should also be noted that many of them have a pretty high failure rate. Regardless, a dog can't intentionally save a life because it has no concept of its own, or anyone else's, mortality.
A man and a baby are mauled and killed by pit bulls in Coffee County.
3 dogs involved in a deadly attack along a Katy walking trail.
Yeah, these images posted by Precinct 5 showing the final moments after a 4-hour search for a pack of dogs that mauled a man to death, then attacked a mother and her child.
I'm standing here on Upper Sandy Cove Road in the community of Welshtown, where 13-year-old Drew Nickerson was attacked by 3 dogs on the weekend. Police say he was riding his bike when it happened and later died in hospital following the incident. In an update Wednesday, RCMP said the boy was attacked by 3 large breed dogs, 2 Cane Corsos and a Rottweiler. Police say investigators have been gathering video footage and interviewing people in the area about the dog's daily movements, describing it as an extremely distressing incident for everyone involved. This close family friend launched a GoFundMe in support of Nickerson's family, raising nearly $60,000 in the days following the incident.
I feel her pain. She's asked me to thank everybody from the bottom of her heart.
Harris says Nickerson was an only child, leaving his mother Dawn completely devastated by the loss.
He was always on his bicycle, swimming, horses, 4-wheelers. The kids up there are real kids. They play outdoors. And the fact that something so tragic has happened.
Other community members and local businesses are stepping up to offer their support, as a raffle has been launched to raise funds for the family.
The YouTuber, Defenders of Humans and the Natural World, recently had this to say.
A 13-year-old boy in Nova Scotia was killed by 3 dogs while riding his bicycle. The article calls this a tragedy. A tragedy suggests inevitability, like a storm or an earthquake. Dog attacks are avoidable and preventable, and therefore not tragedies. Children are dying because the system allows dangerous animals to exist in our communities. This boy was doing something ordinary. The dogs were doing something entirely predictable. The failure happened long before the attack. The failure happened in the decisions that normalized keeping high-risk animals in public spaces. The failure happened when warnings were dismissed as overreactions. No parent should have to wonder whether letting their child ride a bike could end this way. Calling this a tragedy softens the truth. This was a policy failure, a cultural failure, and an adult failure. Until we are willing to name that clearly, children will keep paying the price.
You may remember this case, which was covered in a previous video as well.
A 17-year-old girl was mauled by a pack of dogs in Newberry Springs. The incident occurred on the morning of July 17, 2025. She was unrecognizable to her mother shortly after the vicious attack and was unable to walk on her own following the incident. She suffered lacerations and bites all over her body and now struggles with nightmares and lingering psychological trauma. All she was doing at the time was jogging. I mention this last bit because dog apologists are quick to find excuses for why dog attack victims are attacked by dogs, as if something they did somehow justifies the unprompted violence. And, after all of these cases, I could ask the question, where was the provocation?
And then, the unthinkable. A mother sicks her horrendous shit bull on her own daughter after a fight, leaving the poor girl with severe bite wounds. But why the hell are they calling it a case of animal cruelty here?
Unfortunately, I was unable to download the source video for this, but you can easily look this case up yourself. This was reported in November of last year and took place in East Baltimore. This deranged dog nutter had her beast attack her 17-year-old daughter, who suffered from severe injuries and had to be hospitalized. The dog was seized by animal control and hopefully put down, but frankly, I don't know why it said the mother could be charged.
Baby attacked and killed by a dog. We're hearing how this happened. Outside of the home where that happened is this sign. It reads, "Crazy dogs live here. Do not knock. Things will get ugly."
In April of 2023, a 53-year-old woman was fatally attacked by her brother's Rottweiler in Italy. All she was doing was trying to give food to the thankless monster.
New at 11, tragedy in Troup County. A woman is dead after police say she was mauled by 2 dogs in LaGrange. Atlanta News First Bridget Spencer spoke with the woman's grandson, as well as neighbors who said the same dogs attacked them.
Tonight, a family mourning the loss of a beloved grandmother in a death that they say could have actually been prevented. The glue that held the family together, outspoken and witty. Always, Quay Tucker describes his grandmother, Teresa Patterson.
She would help anybody, even when she needed herself.
He's now forced to bury her after LaGrange police say she was attacked and killed by 2 dogs Friday morning.
There's also the case of the 46-year-old man who was brutally mauled to death by a pack of nasty, vicious shit bulls.
Pure terror as a bike rider is set upon by a pack of vicious pit bulls. 46-year-old Chris Culbertson was riding through his neighborhood when 2 menacing dogs began circling him. He loses his balance, and when he falls, 5 more dogs who escape out of a hole in the fence come at him from all sides.
Tonight we're following the shocking death of a woman in Albertson.
Yeah, that woman mauled to death by her own dog in her own backyard. Police say the 70-year-old's husband found his wife as the attack was happening. Now that dog actually belonged to the couple's stepson. We're told the dog charged at the first officer on the scene. That officer shot and killed the dog.
From an article originally published on April 2014. And again, it's important to note that all he did is step off a bus.
A teenager who ran into a busy road to escape a pit bull was killed after being hit by traffic. The teenager had just gotten off a bus when he was chased by the dog. To avoid the animal, he ran into a busy street, but was hit by a car. The dog was also struck and died. This was the second time this week that a Georgia teenager had died after being hit by a car while fleeing from a dog.
It should be noted how common it is for the attacking dog to be a pit bull or pit bull cross. I know this goes without saying by now. This is how often pit bulls do what pit bulls do, but it's worth noting that these aren't the only dogs attacking. Mastiffs and Rottweilers are easily found among many dangerous dogs lists, and this is no accident. And these are not the only ones by any means. Many smaller dogs are just as vicious, nasty, and aggressive as well, but obviously, they aren't capable of the same level of carnage and aren't as much of a threat to adults. Not in terms of a direct physical attack anyway. And while this video will focus on direct attacks specifically, it's also worth noting that dog bites and attacks aren't the only issues caused by dogs. Far from it. Dogs in stores and in various other locations, dogs in exercise trails and nature preserves, noise pollution caused by dogs, dog waste, and environmental degradation caused by the presence of dogs, and what one of my subscribers has termed area denial. So, for instance, dogs on sidewalks, which are intended for human foot traffic, allergies caused by dogs, and all the other negative externalities few people think of in association with these mainstream mongrels, such as dogs causing traffic accidents. And, despite the fact that these dogs have earned themselves their bad reputations, pit bull apologists will say insane things like this. Just wait for it.
That's when police say he shot the female pit bull named Nobody Cares.
I wouldn't say like, oh my God, I was scared of those dogs. Like, oh, they got out and I was scared. I was more scared of the fact that people are afraid of pit bulls.
Then there was the case of Diane Whipple, an American lacrosse player and college coach who was killed by her neighbor's 2 Presa Canarios, one of which was aptly named Bane. This so-called animal attack did not take place out in the wild somewhere, and she did not break into a house or yard with dogs in it. She met her end in the hallway of her San Francisco apartment. Think about that, in the hallway of an apartment building. This has to be the last place one would ever expect to be mauled by a pair of massive predatory beasts. Just imagine how painful and horrifying the last moments of her life had to have been. And, of course, I would be remiss not to mention the tragic case of Jacqueline Durand, a 22-year-old college student and dog sitter who was brutally attacked and severely disfigured by 2 dogs. This happened on December 23, 2021, while on a dog-sitting job in Coppell, Texas. The attack occurred immediately after she opened the front door of the owner's home, despite having met the dogs previously without incident. After the attack, Jacqueline is unrecognizable due to the loss of her ears, nose, lips, and cheeks, with the dogs tearing her face to the bone and inflicting over 800 bites across her body. There is also the case of Bethany Stevens, who was killed by her own dogs in a forest. The medical examiner's report stated that her death was accidental, but this was no accident. How exactly was it an accident? Are they implying that the dogs didn't mean to tear her apart as they did? Her body was found in the woods off Mannequin Road on a cold December night with the wretched beasts nearby, exhibiting resource-guarding behavior. Do I even need to say what breed the dogs were? This, of course, was yet another of many countless grisly dog-related maulings and attacks that you can read about. And I could go on and on with examples. Dogs attacking and either killing or severely injuring people of all ages. Some of these are dogs that have attacked their very owners. Most of these reports consist of unprovoked attacks on random people who were doing absolutely nothing other than going on about their lives and minding their own business, and probably never expecting a dog to come out of nowhere to launch a brutal, unprovoked and sustained attack upon them just for existing. Next, I want to talk a bit about this. One of the most disturbing aspects of dog culture is the mentality of dog worshippers and defenders, their outlook, their comments, and their warped thoughts. I could easily go into an hour-long segment on just how deprived of reason they are, how sick and twisted they are in the head, how sinister they are, and I could do it simply by presenting a barrage of comments which these sick individuals post themselves. But a common theme seems to be a faulty sense of allegiance to dogs.
What does this mean? A faulty sense of allegiance?
This refers to loyalty, devotion, or commitment directed towards something or someone that is ultimately harmful, undeserving, or counterproductive. And in this case, it is clearly a something. Something IHD has covered quite a bit. How many people who rely on their physical appearance, or perhaps their athletic abilities, for a source of income have foolishly gone around dogs. I will say it in no uncertain terms. Professional models take foolhardy risks by going around dogs, given that they rely on their looks for their livelihood. Dogs can cause injuries ranging from minor scratches to severe lacerations or permanent disfigurement, which will definitely impact a model's career. The same applies to professional athletes as well. For example, in one case, skateboarding influencer Brooklyn Corey was severely injured by a dog during a visit to her cousin's home in Arizona. The dog, unsurprisingly a pit bull, although to be fair, it could have been any dog, ripped off her upper lip. While her injuries are nowhere near as severe as Jacqueline Duran's, she has undergone multiple reconstructive surgeries, including skin and nerve grafts from her arm.
Many of these cases prove that dogs are dangerous even to their owners. Take, for instance, this case. Dog owner recalls how her Cocker Spaniel attacked her face. Unprompted, she was, quote, so shocked at how bad it was. I don't know why so many of these nutters end up expressing shock or surprise when an inherently aggressive artificial animal with very sharp teeth inflicts a serious injury upon them. What I find most offensive about this story, and in particular this article on it, is the fact that they put up a picture of her looking ecstatic to be holding this beast, which a lot of dog sympathizers would say looks harmless in this picture. They even write out the dog's name, as nutter reporters and bloggers always do. I don't know why people think this is something anyone ever needs to know about a non-human attacker. This may serve to project this false idea of dogs as members of human society. But to honest people, you can't humanize something that's a threat to people, and which is clearly something from another species.
I was going to reference the case of Wendy Hamreding, whose face was eaten by her worthless crap hound after she fell unconscious, and even the AI overview reminds us that there have been many women who have suffered severe facial injuries in separate dog attacks in recent years. It even tells me there are several documented cases of women being severely injured by their dogs while unconscious. The two most prominent cases involve Wendy Hamreding from the UK and Isabelle Danoir from France. We have a major problem. Dog attacks are a common occurrence with serious consequences, but for some reason, they don't receive the same level of public health attention as other crises. The increasing prevalence of dog attacks is not widely acknowledged as the major health crisis it is, despite significant data supporting its impact.
Simone Likes family says she had a friend over on the night of the attack at the Lennox Apartments when a pit bull attacked her, ripping off her arm.
Police are investigating this morning after an 8-year-old boy was attacked by the family dog and died.
It broke my heart to know that she had been mauled for 23 minutes.
Breaking now, a 9-month-old has been rushed to the hospital after reportedly being attacked by a family dog.
Literally watched the dogs drag the girl from one side of the street to the other.
Tonight, new video shows neighbors scrambling to help a woman who was viciously mauled by 2 dogs in Auburn.
Hey, 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 hey! Hey!
Sorry about that.
I appreciate it. Not cool.
This is the kind of crap we have to deal with. The text on that short reads, "Please keep your dogs on a leash, but if it needs to be restrained in public for our safety, it has no place in human settlements, in towns, cities, or villages, nowhere near people, and even in rural spaces, dogs are a bane." Although I will make the case that dogs are very much out of place in cities and towns in particular, as well as villages, and really, any densely populated area, it should be noted that the presence of dogs is a scourge even in rural areas. Footage like the clip we just saw demonstrates how infested wilderness areas and outdoor spaces are with dogs. A YouTuber who shows evidence of this on a fairly regular basis is a cyclist whose channel name is Outdoor Smiths. He has actually had to defend himself from dog attacks using pepper spray or an air horn on countless occasions, and a while ago, some dog nutters were literally calling for his head on a stick because of one incident. And if it isn't dogs being loose and intrusive, or aggressive and dangerous while being loose and intrusive, it's their infernal noise pollution.
Don't ever think that in today's world, moving to the country will keep you from hearing the nonstop barking of dogs or help you avoid dogs in general. It's just as bad, if not worse, than being in town. Dogs are a problem for everyone, no matter where you live. Downtown apartment, suburban single-family home, farmhouse outside town, it really doesn't matter. It's 11 p.m. right now, and I live outside the city limits on acreage, and I'm inside my house listening to a cacophony of dogs barking because of one neighbor. That's all it takes.
Dogs, despite being ostensibly touted as man's best friend, are very out of place in human settlements, particularly urban environments, which is to say, towns and cities. The presence of dogs in urban environments raises significant concerns that merit serious and immediate consideration. It warrants rapid legislative changes, as well as shifts in social attitudes. As things are now, society as a whole is entirely too permissive of dog culture and the slew of issues it foists upon us all. A primary argument against dogs in cities is the adverse impact they have on public health and safety. Given that they are densely populated, urban settings increase chances of dog-related incidents, like bites and aggressive behaviors. Statistics indicate that dog attacks frequently occur in crowded settings. This obviously poses risks to residents and, sometimes, other pets. And in rural settings, this extends to include livestock animals, something I will elaborate on in a future presentation. It is also worth noting, even if briefly, that dogs can pose significant threats to wildlife populations and ecosystems. Now, it is accurate to state that dogs have a detrimental impact on wildlife animals when they are inserted into areas such as hiking trails or national forests, but dogs even have an impact on local environments and on the physical and psychological well-being of many animals commonly found in cities as well. Dog barking, often asserted to be a natural sound, is anything but natural. The abrasive and uninviting cacophony uniquely produced by man's worst fiend, especially when several of them set one another off on endless rounds of barking, is surely a stress inducer for the poor birds and squirrels that must endure this torturesome sound. Moreover, the environmental implications of dog ownership in cities cannot be overlooked. Urban areas struggle with waste management, and pet waste contributes significantly to this issue. Many dog owners do not pick up after their dogs, leading to unsightly streets and potential health hazards due to pathogens present in feces. It should also be noted that these same potential health hazards are present, even if the waste is picked up every time, although often it is not. According to polls, some 69% of owners claim to collect their dog's feces, which means at least 30% of them don't, but the possibility exists that many of the ones who claim they do are lying. The bags sometimes used to discard the waste contribute a surprising 0.6% of plastic waste generation worldwide. Those that make the argument that their bags are biodegradable are likely unaware that, as opposed to manure, dog feces is not considered a fertilizer due to its harshly acidic nature. Additionally, the accumulation of waste can harm local water sources through runoff during rainfall, further exacerbating ecological concerns. Furthermore, the realities of city living often compromise the well-being of dogs themselves. Dogs require ample space for exercise, but urban environments typically lack sufficient open areas for these needs. Many city-dwelling dog owners resort to short walks or confining their pets indoors for extended periods, which can exacerbate behavioral issues, because let's be clear, dogs have a ton of awful inherent default behaviors that must be trained out. As it is, this situation not only affects the dog's quality of life, but also strains relationships between neighbors who are going to be disturbed by excessive barking or destructive behavior. While dogs remain inexplicably popular, their integration into urban settings poses numerous challenges that outweigh potential benefits. The health risks associated with the presence of these quasi-canines in crowded spaces, environmental degradation due to waste issues, and detrimental effects on animal welfare collectively argue against allowing dogs in cities. Dogs are often touted as protectors or guardians, But the reality is that dogs are simply aggressive. They clearly cannot distinguish between ordinary and innocuous human behaviors, as well as everyday social practices, like mail delivery services being a thing, as opposed to an actual threat. Dogs do not detect threats, and the fact that they cannot tell the difference between a person dropping off a package and an intruder to be deterred is a major indictment of their presence in towns and cities. And here is a great post titled, "Dogs Have No Place in the City."
Dogs have no place in the city. A 50 to 80-pound animal does not belong in your 600-square-foot apartment. It does not belong in your house with a 0.25-acre backyard. It does not belong in the city where your neighbors for miles can hear your dog bark away for hours while you work your 9-to-5 job. It does not belong in the city where its feces will litter every sidewalk, path, and boulevard. It does not belong locked in a crate barely big enough for it to turn around all day, so it won't destroy anything. Dogs don't belong in the city. I think it is for the benefit of both the dog and the human if dogs were not allowed in the city. I think the way many people keep dogs nowadays is inherently cruel to the dog itself and to the people around them that have to deal with the problems they cause.
We need to start viewing dog behavior itself as the root problem, and we need to understand that it is what they are, on a fundamental level that is objectionable.
Don't bring up distractions, 'cause dogs are the problem. Through such an action, you know we'll never solve them. Don't wanna hear about drunks. Don't wanna hear about guns. Don't wanna hear about birds, frogs, loud music, or world problems. No! Don't talk about siren songs, violence, smog, riots. Stop! Unless brutality's dog-related. Don't invoke those causing mayhem. Hey! Don't bring up distractions, 'cause dogs are the problem. Through such inaction, you know we'll never solve them. When this is the topic, you know dogs are the problem. So quit, bitch, drop it. We're trying to resolve it. Don't talk about dogs to praise them. Or bring up human aggression. We talking about dog originated. Shit, don't mention folks causing mayhem. 'Cause we're talking about dog now. Intrusions, barks, polluted parks, abuse and harm from fools who walk, ghouls through parks and local shops. Don't bring up distractions, 'cause dogs are the problem. Through such inaction, you know we'll never solve them. When this is the topic, you know dogs are the problem. So quit, bitch, drop it. We're trying to resolve it. Only talking dog waste and how they chase those who walk a long way. These hounds you praise are bound to raise hell, so save it. We talking about what's dog originated. Don't bring up distractions, 'cause dogs are the problem. Through such inaction, you know we'll never solve them. When this is the topic, you know dogs are the problem. So quit, bitch, drop it. We're trying to resolve it. Everybody now! Whoa! Don't bring up distractions, 'cause dogs are the problem. Through such inaction, you know we'll never solve them. When this is the topic, you know dogs are the problem. So quit, bitch, drop it. We're trying to resolve